Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassie. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we're going over my 3-star predictions. This is kind of weird. You always see 5-star predictions, but I thought about it and I was like, I have more books on my shelf that I'm not entirely sure are going to be 5 stars. Like, I don't think they're going to be my favorites. I think that they're going to be good books. I'm going to like them, but I'm hopeful that they will be more. So all the books on this list I think will probably get 3 stars, but they still have a chance to surprise me, if that makes sense. So let's just get right on into the list. I think the list has some that you'll 100% expect and some that you might not expect that I think that way. Let's start it off with a nice and easy one, Sabriel by Garth Nix. This one is literally on this list because it's YA, and I just don't love YA anymore. And so I just know that most YA only gets 3 stars from me. Like, I can't see most YAs getting more than 3 stars anymore because the just tone and the darkness and the messages that they talk about in YA I just don't relate to anymore, and I prefer the discussions that are in adult fantasy versus YA fantasy. The reason this is on the list to kind of surprise me as a 3-star prediction is because it is an older YA fantasy, so it's not your 2012 dystopian fantasy, you know, the cliche fantasy. This one, I believe, was published in 1995. I don't know why I said I believe, as if it's literally on there. So it's older, and it could steer away from some of those typical tropes and stuff, so I think it might surprise me, but for now, it's a 3-star prediction. And if you don't know, Sabriel is about a girl who tries to save her father from death, and in this world, there's someone who, sends the people who won't die back to death. So I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't really make sense to me, but that's what I got from the back of this book, and there we go. The next one on this list is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This one I just have heard not great things about, so it's on the 3-star. But then I've also heard some really great things about it, so I think it could surprise me. Dark academia is not my favorite subgenre to ever exist, but I do like multi-POV'd. I like that you don't really know which one is not gonna pass and all of that, because the Atlas 6 follows, I believe, 6 students who enter the last round of the trial, and only 5 can win/survive. So I don't know, I'm intrigued to learn more about this. I think I'm gonna want this to be more fantasy than it is, which is why I think it'll be a 3-star, but it does have potential to still shock me. Yes, I still have the self-pub version. We have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which I have loved V.E. Schwab and not even been interested in a lot of V.E. Schwab. This one was gifted to me by Bex. Thank you, Bex. And although this is branded as adult, I think it's going to read more YA than adult to me. And if you have heard me rant about YA and adult and how we need a new adult because I'm getting sick of reading adult books that read YA, you'll know. That'll irk me. That'll irk me. So I'm just very unsure about this one. But I don't think I'm gonna love this. I don't know everything about this. The urban setting, I've heard the characters aren't that great, the plot's not that great. Everything about this sounds like I'm not gonna like it, but Bex and Jade both love it. And so that's what's giving me hope. Hope that it'll be more than a 3-star prediction. Because me and Jade have similar reading taste, me and Bex have similar reading taste, and if they both love this series, hopefully I will love it too. But at this moment in time, I think it's going to get a 3 stars. I don't really know what this one is about. I think there's 4 different types of London, and our main Londons, Red London, Grey London, Black London, White London, and our main character, Kel, can he's a magician who can travel through the worlds, the different Londons, and there's probably an enemy and he needs to defeat them. You know, typical fantasy stuff. And then we have Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. This was sent to me by the lovely Emma. So with this one, this is a very classic fantasy with a sci-fi twist, I believe, and I'm very intrigued by it, but because it is such a classic and old series, I think that I'm not going to love it. I think it's gonna sit at a 3-star. It's not gonna be... Sometimes when I read classic fantasy, 1978 was... Nope. 1968 it was renewed. So who knows when this was published. Sometimes when I read classic fantasy, because they're the For example, when I read classic fantasy, when I read Lord of the Rings, the problem I had a lot of the time was, although at the time the thing that Lord of the Rings does was revolutionary, I've read so many fantasy books since then that do that I'm sick and bored of those tropes and it's not unique enough for me, which is nothing to say about the book, and I try to remember that at the time this was revolutionary, but now it's just not unique enough for me to like love it and be a favorite. So sometimes I have the issue with classic fantasy, and I think I might have this one, but at the same time there's dragons, and with the sci-fi twist, I think that it really could surprise me. And I know my father loves Anne McCaffrey. He reads more of her sci-fi stuff, not the Dragon Riders, the Dragons of Pern ones, but I was more interested in the dragon stuff. The next one is Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. Anyone who is part of my book club understands why this is on here. I did not love the Bone Chips, but I've heard that this series is very different than the Ty Child trilogy, and assassins are such a big buzzword for me that I think I'm going to enjoy it, but because of the writing style and how much I disliked the Tide Child, I'm automatically saying this is going to be 3 stars. But the buzzwords, the synopsis of like a assassin who has to then protect the heir to the throne instead of killing them sounds really good. I'm intrigued to catch an assassin, use an assassin. Like, this hits so many buzzwords for me that I'm hoping it will be better, but at this moment in time, it's sitting in 3-star prediction because I don't know. Bone Chips is one of the only series that I do not understand why people like it. Like, normally I'm pretty good at being like, it's all subjective, you know, blah, 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 blah. But nah, Bone Chips sucked. Oops. Sorry, my bad. The next one on this list is The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. I was very excited for this. I used to think it was going to be a 5-star prediction because the back of it, the synopsis screams politics. We're about a half-goblin son who to the king, and when the king and the prince are murdered, he ends up having to become the next ruler, and he has no friends there. He didn't grow up in that world, so he doesn't really know how to maneuver around it, and he's got to figure out what happened, who's trying to kill him, blah, blah, blah. Sounds like buzzwords. But I've since talked to Emma, who said it was very, very character-driven and slow, and those are not my favorite words to hear, always. So I think I'm gonna give this one 3 stars. Emma says that she thinks I'll give it either 2 or 4 stars, that it'll like have a gut-wrenching decision and vibe with it. I'll either love it or hate it, essentially. So yeah, I don't know, I'm sitting at a 3-star now. The buzzword about it just makes me think it could be better though. Like there's so many buzzwords. I like a murder mystery plotline typically. And yeah, I don't know. The court system, I love the politics of court. I'm hopeful, but yeah, think it's gonna be a 3-star. I feel like the next one could surprise some people, and it is The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scribd Link, which was gifted to me by Brittany. Thank you, Brittany. And this one, I know a lot of people love. A lot of people love it, but something about this book just screams I'm not gonna love it. Like, I have no reason really besides I think it's character driven, but the gut-wrenching decision in me says this is gonna be 3 stars. It's just gonna be an okay book. I'm not gonna love it. I'm not gonna hate it. It's just gonna be okay. I think I've been kind of sick of Band of Thieves lately. I'm finding them almost overrated, so I think that's gonna be 3 stars. Like, they have to be done really well, and there has to be more to them than just a Band of Thieves. Most of the time, like something like Mistborn, where we have like the court politics going on, I think that's the reason I liked Mistborn and not the like heist of thieves, you know? I don't know. I think this is gonna be a 3 stars, but because so many fantasy readers love this series, I have hope still. I still have hope. Essentially, with all these 3 stars, I just have hope they're not going to be a 3 stars, but I'm predicting they're going to be a 3 stars. I hope I'm wrong. This whole video is just me hoping I am wrong. The next one on this list is Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. This is a chunker. If you had asked me 2 months ago, I think I would have said this is a 5-star prediction, because the synopsis with a misfit from a small fishing village, and he's kind of the chosen one, he has a gift, blah, 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 and the world needs him. Typical classic fantasy that I love. But one, it's indie, and as much as I love indie and I've read some amazing indie books, a chunky indie terrifies me. And I'm just worried a lot of the indie books I've read, when they are chosen ones, they tend to be really good at everything, which is something that irks me a lot. I'm hoping this isn't it. I'm just assuming at this point, which you shouldn't do, but I'm assuming, especially from the synopsis. I think that he might just be good at everything. I'm scared. I'm scared for it. As well as Rachel has read this book and she said there's a really, really slow part and Rachel did not love it. Now me and Rachel like books for tend to be very different reasons, but we like the same books. So we will see. Same with like disliking books for different reasons. So we're gonna see. I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful. I mean, it's chunky, so I hope I'm hopeful. That's another reason. Like, it's just so chunky that I feel like it's gonna slump at some part, and I don't know. I'm hopeful because dragons, and dragon riding, and dragon warriors, and everything dragons. And the last book is the one that I do not own, and that is the first book in the First Law series, so The Blade itself. I've read a book by this author before and I gave it, I think 5 stars, maybe 4 stars, but I needed something else from it and I'm not sure how much I'm going to enjoy this and his writing style if it's the same. And everyone says this series is very, very, very character driven. I'm not a character driven reader. I need more of a plot than a character. I do want good characters, don't get me wrong, but I can read a book with really good plot and crappier characters, but I can't read a book with really good characters and no plot. So I'm a little nervous going into this one. Also hopeful because it's morally gray, it's grimdark, things I love. Yeah. Prince of Thorns got 4 stars for me and it's very character driven, so there is still hope, but I'm scared. I don't even know what this series really is about, to be honest. I just always hear talk about. So it's really just a gut instinct that I think it's going to be 3 stars. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a sunshine emoji. It's summer out, why not? If you enjoyed this video, let me know. This is something kind of different. I'm also thinking about doing a like anti-TBR, like books I think I'm gonna DNF predictions or books I think I'm gonna hate predictions. I don't know. But I probably won't actually ever read those, so who knows? Like, it'll just be like books I'll never read, essentially. Let me know if you'd be interested in that, and if you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.